Welcome to Callie's Vertical R&R, where I recap and review my latest vertical watch. Today we have Outplayed, okay? So this starts off with Brooklyn. Brooklyn lives in a trailer park with her piece of shit mama and her mom's weird boyfriend, okay? And he tries to essay her and she kicks him in the nuts. She goes to play Black Grove Rain. And that's like a VR game where she's like one of the top players. It's like the final tournament, and if you win, you get 50K. So she's down to like the final three, all right? And she's fighting, and one of the other players, Juice, he's playing like dirty, but he ends up getting shot by Thorn because of that. So it comes down to Thorn and Echo, which is Brooklyn's in-game name. And unfortunately, as they're fighting, her mom rips off her shit and she's like, oh, well, since you didn't give him what he wanted, he left. She's talking about her piece of shit boyfriend. She's like, I'm taking all your shit and selling it. And obviously, Brooklyn's very upset, but she looks back in game and she was automatically eliminated because she got logged out. Anywho, so it fast forwards a year and she's ended up at college. They don't really explain it too much, but pretty much worked hard enough to get into college. So she's there and she has to win this year's tournament because she needs the money for tuition. All right, so anywho, her roommate's name is Cass, I think Cass Cambry. So Cass, and that's also her bestie. So, they're chilling at school and there's like one of those water pits, like you throw a ball and you fall in the pit or some shit like that. And one of the frat boys, he jumps in and his name is Ethan. Now, Ethan is Cass's brother, but Ethan is also Thorn, but no one knows it because that's his secret identity. So she's calling him out for getting her soaked and almost ruining her VR glasses because they're like $1,000 glasses. And she had to save up for a year just to get them. And he's like, oh, well, don't give a fuck. He's being a mega dick, okay? And then he kind of pretends like he's giving them back to her, and then he throws her in the water pit. Luckily, they're waterproof though, but they do get slightly damaged. So she obviously hates him because he was being an asshole, mega dick. She did get in some good curved dick jokes though, so I thought that was pretty funny. And then you have the little normal goons, the groupies, if you will. You have Morgan, which is blonde bitch, and then you have Ricky, which is her sidekick, which they're both girls. And Morgan, of course, wants Ethan. Anywho, so they go to class, and it turns out that they just cannot escape fucking Ethan because he's also the TA, so he's the fucking teacher in the class. And anywho, so she's in class, and Juice, he actually messages her, and he's like, she wants to team up because you team up so you can help get to the finale of the tournament. And he's like, send news, and she's like, nah, bro, I'm not doing that. And he's like, well, then I'm not messing with you. And he kind of stops talking to her, and then he comes back and he's like, actually, I changed my mind. Come in the game. I have a surprise to show you. And she comes in game. And then for some reason, Ethan goes in game too. So they're literally in class. She has her hoodie on, and he's turned around playing it. But he ends up saving her again because Juice was doing some creepy shit again. I can't remember. But anywho, so they start chatting it up. But then he comes back into the real classroom and he tries to bust her, but she has it hidden under her desk. And then some other shit happens, but blah 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 blah. They end up going to a party where fucking Morgan, the bitch obsessed with Ethan, she pretty much comes over to harass Brooklyn, and I can't remember what she did. I think she fucking poured a beer on her, right? And then Ethan comes over and he's like, what the fuck? And the thing with this one, y'all, this is an interactive one. So, the one that I watched for and paid for, I cheaped out and I watched the shitty options. But I'm sure if you had a little more money and watched the cool ones, you would have seen some other variety than me. But it hurt my soul to not be able to pick those. But I digress. But how it went for me, he came over and he poured in exchange, he poured a beer on Morgan's head. And she did not like that one bit. But anywho, so Brooklyn obviously upset. She goes in the bathroom, okay? And then, for whatever reason, Morgan came over to Cass. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let's all be friends. She's like, can you give this beer to Brooklyn? And Cass, gullible as fuck. She's like, okay. And mind you, Cass is not the greatest friend. Okay, there's so many instances where she just barely says anything. She's like, oh, don't be mean, and does nothing else. I don't like, bro. But she's nowhere near the worst of the vertical friends I've seen in these things. So, anywho, but pretty much Morgan drugs the drink and gives it to her, and she gives it to Brooklyn. And mind you, Ethan had went in the bathroom too. I can't even remember what for, but I think they almost kissed. And then she gives her a drink, and obviously she gets drugged up. And Juice comes and tries to hit on her again, or Julius. And she's like, ooh, no. And then she's like, I need to go. And she goes and like hides in a room. And Ethan shows up, and, you know, she's all aphrodisiac or whatever. And I guess Morgan's plan was that she'd get horny and fuck everybody in the room but Ethan, but of course it backfired. So, anywho, Brooklyn's all over Ethan, and you know he's like, "Oh well, I don't know if we should do this because you're drunk." She's like, "I'm not drunk. I'm completely sober. I had one beer," and long story short, they end up hooking up. And then I think she either leaves before he wakes up or some shit like that, but goes to class the next day, and she left her underwear behind. And he pretty much gets in class, and he's like, you left your underwear in my room. And I forget why he does it, but pretty much fucking exposes her. And also, like, she got like a she accidentally sent him a screen share, and since he's the teacher, he pretty much accidentally projected it to the whole class. And she was talking about how the sex was and how it was her first time and all that. And she's like mortified, as you know, as anyone would be. And I might be out of order, but anywho, it progresses. Obviously, Cass is mad at her because, you know, with her brother. But anywho, they progress to a pool party at Cass's house. And a while ago, Thorne had confided in Brooklyn that he had used the money to pay for the mortgage on his parents' house, save the house. And anywho, at the party, it got mentioned that Ethan had done the same. She's like, "Are you Thorne?" He's like, "No, no way." And she pretty much gaslights her. And then fucking Morgan's at the party being a bitch, and she like pulls the thread on Brooklyn's swimsuit, and it like gets fucked. And Ethan like shoves, I think he shoves Morgan in the pool, and he like pretty much pulls Brooklyn out. So he was redeemed a little bit. And then she comes out and she does like a montage of fixing her bathing suit. She has like a little two-piece. And then there's like a whole other thing, like more stuff happens, blah 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 blah. Juice tries to assault her again, and then he gets shoved off, kicked out the house. And I think at one point, Ethan professes his love to Brooklyn, and then she doesn't really say anything. So he comes to class and he's like, I profess my love to a girl for the first time, and she doesn't respond. It was so fucking funny. And I don't know, it's all a blur now. But anywho, it all ends up working out. They go to the tournament together, and it reminded me of the ending of another one. I can't remember what it was. But another vertical I saw. But pretty much like she didn't win in the end. But I like when they do it like that, because she was not a good player as Thorne. So, and she was like, no, don't let me win. I want it because I earned it, not because you let me. And he respected that. So he did get redeemed. And yeah, so he ends up paying her tuition in full for like the next 4 years in her boarding. So they all lived happily ever after. And yeah, that was pretty much the recap. For review, like, I would give a lot of points for originality. It was, and the costume, so good. I would say overall, like, for me, I think it was like a 7 out of 10. As far as enjoyability, I really did enjoy a lot of it. There wasn't a ton of violence, so I really appreciated that. No, honestly, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. It was pretty good by vertical standards. Yeah, I don't know. I just like, I think I just don't like the bully tropes. Like, you know, where like the dude's like a mega dick in the beginning, like super mean to them, and then like they're like, oh well, he's hot, so it's all good. So I don't know. I think I'm biased. You might think it's a 9 or 10, but if you end up watching it, let me know what you think, and I'll of course tag the actors below. They all did a great job. Yeah. Bye guys.